He was just crying at the.
Fuck.
He was just crying. He's out of
That's a great story.
I was like, why though? Like, and so he ended up getting fired because of that type of stuff. Yeah.
Damn.
And
And the job
Because-
issue.
well,
There's no crying in bed.
Because he
Hey,
could-
can
he
you
could-
promote me?
yeah,
please?
he couldn't balance just like ever, like every day, just.
Dyslexia, so I have trouble reading. Okay, you know, like I understand that. But then when it's literally like I'm not sure what his deal is. I don't know if it's a lack of caring. I don't know if there's an issue up there. But like, I'm honestly just sick and tired of.
I was gonna say, ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey.
what's wrong with you?
No, but real talk.
Like, honestly,
Hey,
what is wrong?
Chester. Listen, I have
What's
a question
wrong?
for you, and this will probably hurt your feelings, but know that I don't mean it in an offensive way. Are you mentally handicapped? And then you go, yes, and I'm like, thank God. Because if you're not,
Thank
then you
you.
really gotta fix some other things.
Jeez.
Like, I
There's
honestly,
something-
at this point, I'm hoping he is.
Just because it would make it easier to understand.
Yeah.
Why.
Initiating smoke. I am
Alright, does
Ooh,
everyone
look
have
at
their
this
audio
pretty
included?
colorful octagon.
Does
I
everyone have
I
their
think
what?
so.
My audio's included.
Yeah.
And also, I heard
Yeah,
like
indeed.
an echo from someone's TV, so if that's
What
you,
V1
cut it
champion
out.
boy?
Oh, that's
Oh yeah,
probably
also
mine.
let's
That's
like
me.
not
Sorry.
kill
No,
each
no,
other.
no.
Okay, thanks.
Totally mine. I was on 13.
Okay,
Why are you
Um,
being so...
so-
Space, get out of here.
here we are, gentlemen. Gunfighting 101. I would appreciate your full attention here. So
Yes, sir.
Wait, where is
Yeah.
Brooks? Brooks?
yeah, I'm
Oh, he's
well,
there
you
you
don't
go.
have to look at me
Okay, cool.
like IRL or anything, but all right. So, I mean, for obvious reasons, there is a pretty big emphasis on the Magnum now that the settings have been changed. Can't just whip out the AR and spray all willy-nilly as you please. It's not really going to cut it anymore. Magnum is going to be what rules the game, especially in, you know, I don't know how long they're going to do stuff like this, but, you know, like the little changes came out today for the summer season, and on Truth, for example, there's not even a BR on car anymore. Everyone spawns with Magnums. There's a tactical Magnum in bottom mid, and there's a plasma pistol in top mid, and that's it. So, if you can't use your Magnum, then you're probably going to get screwed pretty hard. Yeah, so that being said, let's just talk about the Magnum itself a little bit as a weapon. So, let's say, oh, you know what? Argoides, I want to ask you this question because I heard it the other day in the stream and you were like raging and I was like, Argoides.
Which question?
So, how many shots do you have to shoot someone? How many times do you have to shoot someone before you can melee them and kill them with a Magnum?
I thought it was twice.
Well, that would be wrong.
Nah,
Where are you?
that's wrong.
It's wrong?
That's wrong, yes, sir.
Where are you, Edis?
Is it BR is 2 shots and then a melee? Well, yeah, come find me.
I don't even know where you
Right
are.
here.
There's too many people in this octagon.
I'm right
I
here.
think he's in the middle, dude.
Literally right here.
So, 1, 2, hit. You're not quite dead yet. 1, 2,
So it's
3,
BR that's 2 shots.
and that's it.
BRs and DMRs. Oh, that must have been what it
Is
was.
DMR's 2 shots?
Yeah, the DMR does a little bit more
Uh,
damage
yeah.
than the pistol, so
so
it doesn't
talk-
really matter on
yeah.
the full headshots, but yeah.
Okay.
So,
So to talk about it a little
see.
more, the DMR, it's still like a 5-shot perfect kill like the Magnum is. The DMR does still deal a little bit more damage per shot than the Magnum, but it's not enough of a difference to make up for a whole nother shot. You know what I'm saying? Now
Yeah.
that being said, do you guys understand? And of course, this is going to be for some of the lower level players. I know that some of you Alex, Fender,
1v1 champion, boy.
Aramis, all these guys, you know you're going to know the answers to most of these, so these really aren't for you. What is the criteria for a perfect kill
Oh,
for the Magnum?
is it okay if I answer?
Yep. Please.
It means you kill somebody in 5 consecutive shots with a Magnum without missing, and with the 5th shot being a headshot. So the
Exactly.
fastest time to kill possible.
Exactly.
Essentially.
So there's some people who think that a perfect kill has to be 5 shots to the head. And in actuality, it doesn't have to be 5 shots to the head. It just has to be a kill in the least possible, in the lowest possible number of shots. And there is more damage dealt when you shoot someone in the head versus in the body. But kind of like that DMR Magnum shot difference, the difference isn't significant enough to make up for a whole different shot until they're one shot. So if you shoot somebody in the body 4 times, like I'm shooting space, if you shoot them 4 times, it's going to turn them one shot. And everyone understands how one shot works, right? Once those initial shields pop, then it's one headshot with a precision
I have a
weapon,
question.
and it's a death.
If you shoot somebody with 4 shots, like if you shot me with 4 shots to the head, would I have less health on my health bar than if you shot me 4 shots in the chest?
I think so. I'm gonna try, and I'll let you know. Well, I guess actually I should let you shoot me so I could see the health bar and the people watching can see my health bar.
Okay.
What, that was the
So
body?
that was to the body. Yeah.
Okay. No, I'll
That
wait
should
for my
be you.
shields to
You have
be-
just like nothing left on shield.
Okay, go ahead. Nope, it's the same.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so what you might want to do...
'Cause I thought you didn't get critical hit markers until their shield was completely down.
That
Like
might-
the assault
that
rifle,
might
you
be
got
right.
bonus.
That is
for...
true.
That might be right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, alright, so now that being said, right? Especially since in this game, if you guys like want to just gather around me for a second, look how significant the difference is when I'm standing versus when I'm holding crouch. Like, just aim at my head, and then keep aiming where you were. And like, if I duck, I'm gonna duck under your reticle. If I go ahead and I hold the crouch button. I'm like nearly half my height. So, if someone is, like if, you know, I'm like a scrub player and I'm like trying to shoot them in the head like the whole time, trying to land 5 headshots, if they were to go ahead and crouch about when I was going to shoot, I'd miss like a good amount of those shots just by them crouching. And that being said, the head is also smaller than that whole torso area. So just kind of common sense, you would want to go ahead and pop someone 4 times in the body. I think that was 3 times. Before you go ahead and shoot him in the head. So, don't just be headhunting all the time. Like, if your opponent isn't crouching and that seems to be working for you, go for it, but I really, really wouldn't advise going ahead and being in the habit of doing that. So that's how...
The old Halo 2 strat works pretty good in this game.
What would
Shoot
that
for the
be?
chin.
Shoot for the
Shoot
chin?
for the chin. You get the whole shoulder box, plus
Yep.
it can be a headshot if you just get it centered.
Yeah, that's not a terrible idea. Especially since like the shoulders are so like
Yeah.
broad. Alright, yeah.
Oh,
so,
thanks.
So that is Magnum Mechanics 101, I think. Am I forgetting anything? Just talking about the Magnum?
CLG skins increase your accuracy by 15%.
They what I do. use. If we're being
I
honest.
agree.
Alright, so I'm not forgetting anything. Great.
What about bullet spread on Zoom?
What do you mean on like bullet magnetism?
Yeah, so that it's essentially more accurate when you're zoomed in, which makes sense because you're trying to shoot a farther target.
Yeah, I mean,
It's pretty minuscule, but
I guess that's just talking
Yeah.
about Zoom in general.
sure.
Hold on one second. Aramis, can you stay where you are? Just stand there.
Yes.
Yeah, so for anyone watching on my stream right now, if your reticle is red and you pull the trigger, it's supposed to hit. Like The center of my reticle is pretty far off Aramis right now, but just because it's red, that bullet's gonna go ahead and try and hit him every time. But if I zoom
Oh,
in,
check that out.
yeah, if I zoom in, it's actually more precise, so it's actually gonna miss him, even though I'm aiming in the same spot. So
My
if it's
reticle
red,
is
feel
red,
free
and yeah, it's not
feel free to
hitting
pull
him.
the trigger. Depending on the servers that you're playing on, that might not work as
Not
well
working
as
for
it
me.
should. But
Yeah.
like that's how it's supposed to work, and most of the time I think that's how it's going to work. So I think
It
as
looks like
far
it hits to
as-
the side. But when you're behind them, like when I'm at Robot Devil here, if I'm behind them, it doesn't always hit. That's what I'm seeing. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, so I think that's just the Magnum Basics 101. Does anyone have any questions about that? About like how many shots to kill, or want me to repeat something?
How do I fire my gun?
What was that? You say, how do you fire your
How do I
gun?
fire my Magnum? Yes, sir. Still haven't figured it out.
Oh dear. You're hopeless. Sorry, bro. Where's
Lessons,
Space, by the
please.
way?
Oh, he's hanging out. He's following me. He's over here.
He's just like not talking?
I guess. Space is doing him.
I wonder if he knows his mic is muted.
Hey, wait, I'm drinking.
It's probably-
Slurpee
yeah.
and-
Wait, you're doing
Drinking a
what?
Slurpee.
Drinking a Slurpee.
Drinking a Slurpee, apparently.
Alright, cool.
Dang it,
Alright.
Space.
Can we all do a group dance on his body before we proceed to the next step?
Alright.
Okay.
Real quick.
I get the head.
You got until 10. Alright, cool.
Alright.
Alright, so the
Alright,
next
that-
portion is, so that was the Magnum mechanics. Everyone knows that a perfectly placed nade is gonna pop someone's shield, right? Everyone know that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
Does frag grenade still one hit kill if it's directly underneath?
No, it
No.
wouldn't, no, it won't.
No.
No.
Fun
Oh.
fact, it looks like 2 shots in a grenade will kill. So
Indeed.
grenades are a little bit more powerful than melees, I guess. Let that be known.
Oh, that was just a really bad
Ow.
grenade.
Alright, so now we can talk about the strafe a little bit. So the strafing is most certainly what separates the goats from the men from the boys. And, you know, the reason that is it's like, you know, Halo is definitely a game where, because of the shield system and the long time to kill, the strafe is really, really important, because you want to do everything that you can in your long gone fight to make it harder for your opponent to kill you. It's not like COD where if they see you, they're going to shoot you and they're going to kill you, and that's going to be it. You don't have time to react. So as far as gunfighting goes, you're going to have your strafe. If something is near you, you can go ahead and hide behind it and clamber over the top and pop out and do all these different things. And, you know, I guess the goal in a gunfight is to go ahead and be unpredictable. Pretty much anyone, you know, who's played the game for over 24 hours can do a pretty decent job of putting the reticle wherever they want to put it, if they know, you know, what they want to look at. If I want to go ahead and aim at the bottom part of the 7, it's going to be pretty easy for me to go ahead and put my reticle there, you know, because it's just
Yeah,
sitting there,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
standing still. I know where it's going to be. Like, that's just a very simple thing to do.
Whoa there. Some of us
So-
are having trouble even firing the Magnum. Aiming is a whole nother level.
So,
I don't know how
So-
I won the
so the
1v1
trick
tournament. I can't find my gun.
Sorry.
yeah, so the thing with Halo is it's just like, and that's the part that makes it tough about aiming, is that people are moving and shooting, and sometimes they're moving to try to throw you off, sometimes they're moving to throw off someone else, so they're moving even more unpredictably, sometimes they're just bronzes, so they're playing unpredictably without even knowing it. Like, that's
One
just how it
strafe
is.
is god tier, bro. You don't even
Dude.
know.
You don't even know.
Literally.
You know, so unpredictability is like a big deal. You don't want to be unpredictable to the point where you're like doing stupid things, like just sitting here crouched, and it's like, well, they wouldn't expect me to sit here crouched just blown away, but that's obviously not a good idea, because they're going to figure that out after a couple of shots, and, you know, if I keep sitting there, then I'll get screwed, so unpredictability is something that you want to go for. So that being said, you know, a pretty basic strafe. Everyone knows what a strafe is here, right?
I just walk in a straight line towards people.
That was my bad. I'm still just
What's a strafe?
messing around with the controls.
Yeah, so Devil, Argoides, you guys know what a strafe is, yeah?
Yes.
So
Say what a strafe is. Say it for
So
strafe.
pretty much it would be moving back, forth, forward, backward, maybe rocking your thrust a little bit, maybe working your crouches in there, and doing what you gotta do to try and throw your opponent's shot off. So, a pretty basic strafe is this. It's just here, left, right, real easy. You know, so, I mean, that's, like, okay. It's definitely better than nothing.
Whoa.
It's a lot better than, you'll see a lot of this in the lower levels, where people are just gonna go ahead and they're just gonna walk straight towards you as they pull their trigger, because they like getting in close and trying to punch people and finish them off. You know, but that's really not what you want to do. And the only time that you can go ahead and get away with that is if you're coming in on someone who's low shields, and even then you have to watch out. You don't want to go ahead and get ninja'd while you're rushing in straight on them, or, you know, if they have a
180
pretty
face
good
ninja.
if they have a pretty good strafe, then, you know, it's possible that if you're not trying hard enough, that they will go ahead and kill you. Because you're just charging in straight at them and you're not making it difficult for them. So, yeah. So, there are a few different things that you can do to go ahead and mix up your strafe a little bit. You have this left-right motion. One thing that you can do with this left-right motion is you could also exaggerate the distance at which you strafe. So you'll see some people just move the stick left and right as fast as they can. Obviously, that's like not a great idea because I'm like staying in the same spot. And if they just kept
Like
their
a
reticle
penguin
still,
model, bro.
yeah.
Side to side.
So you know they're gonna move me as much as they want if I'm doing that because I'm pretty much in the same spot. And sometimes if it's like a really long strafe, then all they have to do is keep moving at a set pace and they're
The
gonna hit
entire
me.
way around.
Yeah, so what you want to do is you want to try and mix up your distances, maybe a little bit short, then you go a little way, long way, one way, and you know, you want to go ahead and you want to mix it up. You don't want it to be the same strafe every time. And another thing too that I'm going to talk about that like some people don't seem to think about, even some like plat diamond players, is how your strafes should change depending on the distance that you're at. So let me go ahead and get Space here since he's streaming. Space, you're good, right? You're here? Okay. He's drinking a Slurpee. Okay. So obviously, you know, if I go ahead and I just move like a step this way, you know, that's like, because we're so close to each other, the difference that that makes on our screen is like huge. It's just one step and then he's like almost off my screen. So a little like small strafe up front, like when you're close to someone, is a lot more effective than when you're completely far away from each other. Space back up to the opposite wall. And now if we do that same side-to-side strafe, before he was nearly off my screen, and now he's pretty much in my reticle the whole time. So what you should understand is that more likely than not, the further that you are, the further you might want to go ahead and exaggerate your strafe. You know, because, like I said, and especially since I said when your reticle is red, if you pull the trigger, you're pretty much going to get a hit. So if I'm at this distance here, Space, go ahead and stay still. And then just move back and forth really fast. I'm sorry, like left and right really fast. You know, as long as, like, my reticle's staying red, like, for a good amount of that time, like, and I'm not even moving it. Just the aim assist is following him. And I could just sit here and pull the trigger, and even though he's moving, it's going to hit him every time because he's not strafing far enough. So, farther you are, you might want to exaggerate your movements a little bit more. Everyone understand that? Does anyone need to, like, line up with someone so they could see that firsthand? To get a clearer image, like... How does everyone feel
I got
about that?
Nope.
Pretty well.
Devil?
I got you, daddy.
Devil? Wheaties?
Oh yeah, I'm good.
Where did Devil
I am
go? Is
paying
he still in
attention.
here? Is that
I'm not
him?
sure, I'm gonna be honest.
Devil?
Nope, he's already.
Yeah,
Devil's-
he's shooting.
Uh,
Walking around.
Yo,
With the
Okay, he
enemy.
said he understood.
You will speak when spoken to. Damn it, bro! I was trying to enforce the rules.
Okay. Cool. So, on to the next thing that you can do. So let's talk about crouch strafing a little bit. So, I don't know, how often for you lower level players does it like piss you off or like irritate you when you see someone crouch strafing? Like, how do you guys feel about it?
Feels just like I don't know,
like part of
it's
the
so
game.
annoying.
It's just part of the game, or like it
Yeah,
bothers you.
and I get that it's just part of the game, but it's one of those mechanics where it just like, it just feels like. This is the thing. So, I'm gonna kind of have a little long-winded explanation, or I cannot. But it bugs me and it annoys me.
Okay. I guess we could leave it at that then.
Yeah.
So, for those of you wishing to crouch strafe, let me tell you right now, if you have toggle crouch on, you're gonna need to turn it off. Which, there's really no reason to have toggle crouch on because it does not allow for optimal teabagging. So that's like your first mistake.
Which is the main reason.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the main reason.
Like,
For
you
rapid
belong
ones.
in like bronze, like 3 if you're not able to teabag effectively. Like, turn that toggle
Instantly
crouch off.
get demoted.
Yeah, honestly, like, you better switch it on the fly
Can we
right
see
now,
that
because if I
Onyx
find out that
crouch
you're
again?
using it later, like, I'm kicking you from the program. That's it.
Can
so
we
yeah,
see
so
that Onyx level teabag one more time? Oh wow! Look at that form.
As you can see, it's
Oh.
it's quite amazing.
Alright, cool.
As opposed to the bronze
I've always been a
teabag
fan
caught
of the
in
slower,
wild.
deliberate teabag.
Well, I'm sorry?
Like, really rub it in, give it a little shake.
Oh yeah,
Ooh,
just
yeah.
maybe back up on
Just do it.
Just like grind it on there. I prefer to just sprint over them, and then as I sprint, just slide and just wipe my ass on their face and then move on.
I like to.
Stylistic preference,
I've
I
just
guess.
sat and ground pounded people before. It seems like it's a
right.
reasonable
So,
substitute.
alright, eyes on me, boys. I'm gonna talk about crouching a little more, but like actual,
Alright.
using it for something useful. So, when you talk about crouch strafing, there's a big difference between spamming crouch and like holding the crouch button down. When you go ahead and you spam crouch, if all of you just want to get close and like aim at my face, like if I'm sitting here and I'm just spamming crouch, my head's like pretty much staying in the same spot. Versus if I hold it, then that makes like a pretty decent difference. And one of my buddies that I was teaching, he was like, "Hey, teach me how to get good." And I was like, "Alright, I'm not very good, but I'll try and help you." And we talked about crouch strafing a little bit. And he was like, "Oh yeah, if people do this crouch strafing, and I want you to look at my crouch strafe." And I was like, "Alright." So we go ahead and we get into the octagon, and I shit you not, this is what he does. Like the start of the game, here we go. And I was like, I mean, he actually ended up killing me because I was laughing so hard, but like, that's a really poor crouch strafe, because like I said, your head stays in pretty much the same spot. So what you want to go ahead and do is, when you're strafing, you could either crouch and hold it and move for a little bit. The only thing with that is you don't want to do that for too long, because as soon as they adjust their reticle down there, your movement speed is pretty slow, so it's going to be pretty easy for them to hit you as long as you stay down.
Is that my phone?
What you'll see most players do in the way that they'll use it is they'll mix it in with their strafe, you know, just like here and there. So if I move here, maybe I'll hold it, move a little bit here, and then I'll pop back up, or you know, I don't know. It's just like whatever feels natural. Maybe a little bob and weave action for any of you boxers out there, but yeah, man, it's just something that you go ahead and you like mix in. There have been a couple of times where I've been able to get away with, like I said earlier, and being unpredictable. I just crouched and I sat. And for some of the little more
Bro, that's
panicky
so
players,
annoying.
for some of the more players that are, you know, a little more panicky, they're gonna see this, and they're just gonna like over aim, and especially if they're, you know, trying to play on like 10-10-5 or something ridiculous like that, they're gonna over aim the shit out of me just by me standing still. And I don't advise sitting here trying to, you know, 5 them crouched in one spot, But you might want to go ahead and, like, if you're moving in with your strafe, you could sit for like a second and then keep moving. You know, that's just one thing that you can do to go ahead and mix it in and try and throw someone off. If you saw, I think it was at Worlds, did anyone see like Victory X breakdance on Lethal and screw him?
Bro, that was
Yep.
yeah.
Gave him the wiggles.
Victory X, literally, I think Lethal was like low shields or something, and then this was Victory X. He just like sat, he spun around and he finished shooting Lethal, and it was just like insane. That was really, really funny. I mean, I don't think that he did it on purpose. Like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that he actually lost him, but yeah, that was
I
really
choose
funny.
to believe that he did.
Yeah, we could pretend. So, that's pretty much just crouching. Like I said, you don't want to spam it too hard. You don't want to just sit still for all 5 shots. You just want to mix it in as you please. You know, as long as you're not doing those things. Another big mechanic that's like a huge deal in this game is the thrust mechanic. So,
Sorry, before you move on, do you have any tips for countering a really good crouch strafe?
yeah, so
Run.
like I said, you know, what you want to go ahead and do with the Magnum is aim at their body, right? So, let's use Devil. Devil, you're here, right? So, I'm aiming at Devil's head right now, and if he goes ahead and he hits a full crouch, go ahead and crouch. You know, I'm gonna be aiming over him now, and I'm gonna be missing. Versus if go ahead and stand up. I'm aiming at like his chest right now. If he goes ahead and he crouches, then he's gonna be nearly, well, because I'm pretty close right now, it's like a big difference. But at a little bit more of like a decent range, like I think this is probably about 10, 15 meters. Stand up, Devil. Now go ahead. Yeah, so now he's gonna go ahead and actually stay in my reticle. If I was aiming at his chest. So like I said, you should be aiming a little bit lower to begin with. You don't want to be aiming at their head, because if they go ahead and they hit a crouch, then you're gonna be missing them a pretty decent amount. But if you're aiming at their body to begin with, or even at these closer distances, you know, if you might even have to aim a little bit lower if they're crouching pretty regularly. But the general tenet would be go ahead and aim lower rather than higher until they're one shot, and then you just do whatever you have to do to get the headshot. And understand that when they're crouching, that decreases the speed at which they can strafe. So expect to not have to make such drastic movements with your right stick. You know, expect to be able to play it a little slower and not aim as hard. It should be gentle movements if someone is crouch strafing. Which it really should be gentle movements in general, which brings me to my next point. No, I'm not going to talk about aiming yet. We'll keep talking about strafing. So, another tool that we have in Halo 5 is the thruster pack. So you go ahead, you press a button, and you hold the direction, and it moves you in whatever direction you hold it in. It's pretty like self-explanatory, and I think that the cooldown time for that is, what is it, like 4 or 5 seconds, something like that. 5
think it's
seconds.
5.
6 seconds, something like that.
So the thing with the
Unless
thrust
you have
is
the
that
Vorpal Talon.
you don't want to go ahead and spam the thrust as you're just getting around the map as one way to get around further. Like, you don't want to do that, because if you go ahead and you hit your thrust and then you come around a corner and there's someone there to fight, you don't have that thrust any longer for your gunfight, which it's a pretty useful tool in your strafe, because what you have to do when you strafe, to move left and right, you know, you have to be on the ground if you're just going to walk. If you're in the air, you can't change your direction once you've already jumped. The thing that's nice about the strafe is that if you need to move, you know, whether you're moving left and you need to move right really quickly and can't afford to take the extra second to turn around, or if you've already jumped and you need to go move back another way, you know, it's really nice to go ahead and have that thrust to, you know, use with your strafe. So one thing that you'll see a lot with this strafe is that people will go ahead and they'll like wait until they're one shot, they'll jump one way, and then they'll thrust the other way. That's like, if people are using their thrust, I'd say like 80% of the time, That's what they're trying to do with it. Is they're like, oh man, it's so smart to jump one way and thrust the other way, like, you know. But if everyone does that and you're expecting it, then it kind of like kills the whole point. So, you know, you want to get used to using it in a few different ways. You could jump one way and thrust the same way. You can use it in the middle of your strafe, you know, just moving left and then thrust back the other way, or move left and then just thrust the same way. With some of the less composed players, especially in closed distances, if I'm sitting here and I'm gunfighting with someone and I thrust towards them, half of them might just like freak out and just like won't know what to do with themselves. That's something that I have done with lesser experienced players, expecting them to freak out. And I've gotten some pretty ridiculous reversals that I probably wouldn't have gotten if I stayed out and just hung with them. You know, because I was already one shot or like whatever the deal was. So either the thrusting forward or thrusting backwards sometimes. Or sometimes, you know, not even necessarily thrusting side to side or forward and back, but maybe diagonally in a direction. And you can get a little bit of both. So feel free to mix it up. And it doesn't always have to be with a jump, like I said. You know, it could be just with your strafe.
I didn't mean to do that.
Okay, it's all good.
Dang it, Stace.
And another thing to bring up about the thrust is you don't want to thrust. So, back to the Magnum a little bit. It's a semi-automatic weapon, which means, you know, and there's like a cap on the rate of fire. So even though you're pulling it like as fast as you possibly can, it's only going to shoot so fast, right? So if you're thrusting a little while after you shoot your gun, and you're just going to be about able to shoot again, and then you choose to thrust, then it's going to be even longer before you get to shoot again.
I'm going to stop moving.
You guys heard that?
God damn it.
Wheaties Devil?
Yes.
Space?
I keep forgetting the boost is not that stupid fucking button.
Yeah.
God
So
damn it.
what you'll want to do to try and maximize how many bullets that you can shoot, you want to shoot as much as you want to, is you want to go ahead and you want to, after you pop a shot off, then you want to try and thrust. You could do it nearly in the same instant. Just thrust and then, or just shoot and then thrust, and then pretty much by the time that you'd be able to shoot again if you weren't thrusting, you should be able to you should be able to shoot by the end of your thrust. Does that make sense to everyone? Can everyone like try that out and like see what I'm talking about? And also just get a feel for it and hit your thrust and keep spamming the trigger to see how early it is that you can actually shoot while you're thrusting. Because you can actually go ahead and get a shot off before the animation finishes, which a lot of people don't know. And it feels really, really satisfying to hit like a really nice 5 where your 5th shot is a, you know, a shot like right at the end of your thrust. That just feels really good.
Chaos just ensued.
That's okay. I'll let it go for like a minute. Let everyone like just work on the thrusting and shooting. Just try it out. Dude, like the bullet mag is just ridiculous in this octagon right now.
Yeah,
You're looking at a wall. That's
I'm just
like
following
the best.
people with my aim up. Like if only
It
this
might
was
be
online.
safer to look at a wall if you're not trying to kill anyone.
What is the bullet Oh, magnetism.
Oh yeah, bullet magnetism. Alright,
Everyone just pick a partner and go strafe with each other like that.
does anyone have any questions about the thrusts? Any follow-up questions?
No.
Alright, let's
Regroup.
stop shooting now. Okay, so no questions. Like if you have questions,
No, sir.
like don't be afraid to ask them. Just I mean questions
Still don't know
pertaining
how
to
to shoot
this.
my
I'm
gun.
not gonna talk to you about the meaning of life or anything right now, but
Holy bro, you just straight flew.
Shit.
Referred to
why didn't-
spacecraft.
oh, I think there might be a invisible blocker on the ceiling of this.
Yeah, I tried to get on top of this and it just won't let me. Motherfuckers.
There's an invisible
Yeah,
block
there
where?
definitely is. On the ceiling of the octagon. It doesn't block nades, but
Everyone just throws nades in the air like
What does it block? How do you know there's a block there then?
oh, because we did the like enemy boost jump thing, and we can't get any higher than like the top of the wall.
Oh, well, that's really disappointing.
Okay. Cool. So you got crouching, you got thrusting. Am I missing anything strafe-wise? Like as far as like things that
I
you
don't
can
believe
do?
so.
No, right? The only other
No.
note, I guess, talking about the thrust, you can thrust and like use that to influence your grenade throwing. So you can throw grenades really far by like sprinting, jumping, thrusting, and throwing your nade like as you're thrusting. You can chuck nades like really, 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 really far. If you're able to hit that, you know, at like the same time.
Colby. She's gone,
Yeah.
bro.
It's like pretty ridiculous. So, okay. So we talked about the Magnum, we talked about strafing, and the last thing that I want to talk about, which is probably like the biggest point of this whole deal, is your aim. You know, so as much as you can try and throw someone else's shot off, and as much as you know about this Halo 5 Magnum, and like regardless of what your skin is, you're not gonna win gunfights unless you're able to hit people with your gun. Not just like melee, but like shoot. You know, so aiming is like a pretty big deal. And to talk about aiming, let's talk about sensitivity. So most pros play on like pretty low sensitivities. I feel like most people who like don't know better would think that the pros all play on like 10-10-5 because they all have like super duper reflexes and they play this game all the time and yada yada yada. But that's like really, really, really not the case. A lot of the pros will go ahead and they'll play on. What's the lowest that you guys have seen a pro play on? Like some of you guys who know.
I saw
3-3?
better.
One of the guys does
A lot of
people
T2,
use
and
one
he's, like,
horizontal.
really good.
Okay.
Yeah, I
saw
see. I think it's like
2-2
Shotzi
once.
rocks like 155 right now.
Yeah, Snipe Down does it too.
155 quite often.
Yeah, like I know a lot of people are switching to 115 or 155, which for those of you who like don't know what these numbers mean, when someone says like 3-3 and they say like two numbers like that, it means that they play on like 3 look sensitivity and 3 look acceleration. But when you hear something like 155, where it's 3 numbers, they actually added options so that you can break your sensitivity into horizontal and vertical. So when you hear something like 155, it means that they play on 1 horizontal, 5 vertical, and 5 look excel. So some of the pros play on something that's pretty low, like 1, and I guess just for a reference, when you play on 10 regular sensitivity, that's 5 horizontal.
Oh,
Oh, look, you're on
hey!
yeah, so when you play on 10 sensitivity without changing the stuff and making it custom, that would be 5
Okay,
horizontal and 10 vertical. So 10-10-5 is just like insane. But yeah, so a lot of the pros play on something a little bit lower. So,
Pony plays on 9.
Space, your mic is like really quiet.
Bro. I somehow ended up on top
Hey,
of
welcome.
the map.
What are you doing, Space? Get out of here.
Space, were you
Oh,
saying
Killer
something?
Dead, get up there!
That's some next level strafe, boys. Ended up there.
Alright, guys, let's all go climb the fucking Onyx.
Let's
do it.
Oh wait, hold on, we're not done yet. Relax.
Oh.
Yeah. So, for those of you
Stay there,
who
Stay there, Brooks! Please don't hit the 1v1 champion like that.
come on, dog. Just trying to finish this so we can finish up, man.
Yeah, okay,
So if you
okay.
could like stop fucking off for like 5 more minutes, that'd be super. So, yeah. So sensitivities, like a lot of the pros play on stuff that's like lower than you'd imagine. So, you know, if you're playing on like 10 sensitivity and you feel like your aim is pretty shitty, your sensitivity might have something to do with it. If you're like over aiming like a bitch, then it's probably in the cards for you to go ahead and shut your sensitivity down a little bit. Sometimes that's like not the issue as much as it is just like the basics of aiming, and this is something that I want you all to listen to right now, because if you're not doing this, there's room for improvement. So like everyone standing here, except for maybe like Alex, because he's like the 1v1 champion and stuff.
1v1 champ, boy.
You know, it's like really counterintuitive, but I want you to like listen to this. If you get nothing else from the session today, this is what I want you to hear. I want you guys to try and focus on aiming with your left stick more than you aim with your right stick. And it's like, Brooks, what are you smoking? The left stick is for movement, the right stick is for aiming. And it's just like, because, especially if you play on a higher sensitivity, you holding the right stick to the side makes pretty drastic movements, versus when you're walking left and right, your reticle doesn't move that often. And especially when you're in a further engagement and someone's just strafing left and right, you don't need drastic movements with your right stick. All you have to do is move left and right and make very, very little adjustments with your right stick, right? So the thing that's nice about that too is there are some days where you might feel like you could play on 10 sensitivity and just whip your stick around and hit all your shots, and that's really nice when you can do that. But between the servers being kind of shitty and just day to day, you know, being generally inconsistent, it's a lot easier to make your aiming fundamentals such that you do a bulk of your aiming with your left stick, and you get used to moving that right stick very, very, very little. So as you guys go ahead and you work on that, you'll, I feel, notice to see some improvements in your accuracy and maybe get a little more 5s and stuff like that. And one good way to work on this, and that's something that I've done for a while and I'm really hoping to start doing again, maybe with some of the kids on my team, is just playing Octagon a little bit more. But when you play Octagon, I want you guys to do something like crank your sensitivity up to 10, and I want you to try it such that you're doing a bulk of your aiming with the left stick, and you're only making very small adjustments with the right. And the thing about doing that on 10 is that it will severely punish you for holding the stick more to the side than you should be. So you go ahead and you start a game of Octagon with someone, play the first like 3 or 4 minutes on 10 sensitivity, and try and use your left stick as much as possible. And then after 3 or 4 minutes, rock it down to 9, and do it again for another 3 or 4 minutes. And then you keep going down until you feel like you're moving too slow. And then you could probably stay at that sensitivity. Then you go into matchmaking, see how it works, and then move it up or down as needed. But that's something that should help you guys find like a little bit more of an optimal sensitivity and maybe build a little bit more consistency with your aiming. Does anyone have any questions or comments about that?
Nope.
Wheaties, Devil, Space, Coney?
I'm good. So we went over a lot of that. You went over a lot of that last time with me.
Yeah. Okay. And the biggest thing is just like, I mean, I'm talking about all these things now, and we might be standing here in an Octagon, and next time you start up an Octagon, you're going to think about them. But don't just like queue into matchmaking and then just like forget all of this. Because there are some people where I see them play really, really well in Octagon, but then as soon as you throw them an arena map, they just like forget, and they're just doing this. They're walking straight at people, gunfiring, and like they get thrown off by the terrain and a bunch of different things. So, you know, Octagon is really good, and I think that you all should do it regularly. But that's like not the only way to practice. Playing 1v1s on regular maps is like not a bad idea, because it focuses on just, you know, you and your shot and your positioning versus someone else's shot and positioning, and that's really chill. Even if it's just with someone better, you know, and you go ahead and get your ass kicked 15-0 in a 1v1. You know, if you're gonna go ahead and get your ass kicked and like be upset about it, then don't do it, because you're not gonna get anything from it. But I feel like there is a lot to learn when you're at a lower level, and every time that you die like that, if you ask yourself, you know, why you died, there's usually a pretty clear-cut reason, even outside of your shot. It's either, well, if it is your shot, it might be something like I over-aimed, or he got the first shot on me and I challenged him, you know, despite him having the first shot on me, and then I got punished for it. Or it might be something like positioning. It's like, well, he had the higher ground, and all he had to do when he was low shields was back up. And I'm sitting here bottom mid trying to just fire pot shots at him. You know? Go ahead and ask yourself these things after you die.
You might
Alex, go ahead.
you might just want to cover like aim and positioning. Like when you come around a corner, so they're just looking like down or something. like aiming at where you think the enemy is going to be, because then
Yeah,
that'll
so
hopefully
that's
get first shot.
that's a good point. How many of you have seen like Snakebyte's video on reticle placement?
I have.
Yeah, because it's like really simple, but it does a good job of like kind of just talking about it. I'm gonna go ahead and just like start up a map that has, I guess, some actual angles and stuff on it. I wonder if I could
Truth
queue up
would
Fury
probably
on
be a good
Titan
one.
with this many people in the lobby. I want you guys to see
I wonder
that.
if you could what?
It's this game map type combo called Fury. Well, it's Fury on Titan. And pretty much what it is... Just one second. Let me try and find it. Where the fuck are all my bookmarks, dude? I think because they updated the HCS ones today, I think that I have to go re-bookmark them. That's really annoying. I don't even know if we're all gonna spawn in the map. I've never tried to do this on more than 2 people, so...
In my experience, they spawn outside of the map, but
Yeah, that's probably what's gonna
we'll
happen.
see.
We'll find out. I didn't even know that there's 9 spawn points in the first map.
Truth could be a pretty good amount. Bro, who is staticking everywhere?
I think it's... is that...
Devil.
Your mic is like, I don't know, it's like making static or something? Maybe it's like a fan? I don't know.
Dude's playing outside in the storm.
Okay. Oh, hey! Most of us... Did all of us spawn in here?
Oh,
It's a
Yeah.
miracle! It's a Christmas miracle.
dude, look at all of us.
Okay, so...
We're all in like a small little room.
Fury on Titan, right? So pretty
Who's-
much what
is
this
that
is... and the
static?
reason, so the thing with Octagon is that you play in a large open area, or like an open area of some size, whether it's a size or like a large one like the last one. And you get to work on your strafe, and it's just you and your magnum and the other guy and his magnum, and that's really, really nice, because you get to work on your strafe and your shot. The thing with that, though, and like I said, is like once you get into matchmaking, and you get into some like real terrain, there's some people who do a little bit better playing around the terrain and juking people than, you know...
Real quick,
And some people are
Brooks,
bit- yeah.
Devil, it's your mic that's
Yeah.
staticky, like non-stop.
It is Devil's mic. Devil, can you mute your mic? Just unless you have like words to say. Okay, thanks. Like I said, definitely like unmute it if you have like a question though. It's not that big of a deal. So yeah, so you want to go ahead and you want to learn and work on your gunfighting on like actual map terrain versus just doing it in the octagon, you know, solely. Were any of you there when me and Space did the 1v1 octagon the other day? We made a bet whether he had to become Lexi or I had to change my profile picture. Any of you there?
I was
So,
watching.
what happened
Yeah,
in the
Mr.
octagon versus when we played Fury after? Did you watch both of those?
Well, the octagon was more even, but once there was a lot of cover and ways to move around, Brooks definitely took advantage of just the terrain, and Space Christ, Lexi, formerly known as Space Christ, had trouble finding out where Brooks was, and
Yeah,
Brooks could pin him into
so
places really well.
I mean, I think the octagon game ended like 100 to 70, which part of that is like instant respawns. You know, but still, Space has a pretty good shot. He's like not that bad. His shot is actually like pretty good. It's like some of the other things. His comms are good, his shots are good, but some of the positioning and stuff needs work, and that's okay. The thing that's really nice about Fury on Titan, like I said, is that you get a few of these different maps. Like you see that this is obviously different than like a regular octagon. There's terrain, there's a few different levels. There's like a railgun that spawns bottom mid and a couple of different weapons. And it's nice because you get to exercise your map movement a little bit. You get to mentally exercise, you know, thinking about what the other person's doing while you're trying to do what you want to do. If I'm going ahead and I'm fighting someone around this pillar, I'm questioning, are they going to go ahead and come up this way? Did they maybe cross under the bridge? Are they going to try and come up behind me? You know, there's a little bit more of a mental effort and a little bit more movement effort into it than just regular octagon. And Fury on Titan is nice because you get a map like this after that initial octagon. Then once this round ends, you'll get a different map. And there's like 7 different maps on this thing that allow you to work with a little bit of different weapons, and all the maps are a little bit different, so you get to practice, you know, some different things. And that's really, really nice. So I highly recommend playing Octagon regularly, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to link, you know, the map and game type for this to you guys, so that you guys can use this as well. But I highly, highly recommend it. Back to the deficit, you know, what I was talking about with space. That Octagon game ended like 70 to 100 or something like that, but I'm pretty sure that I think I killed him 60 or 70 times over the course of these 7 rounds, and I think he killed me like... Space, do you remember how many times?
7.
I think it was under... I'm pretty sure it was in the single digits. What was that, Space?
It was very low.
It was very low. Are you still
I thought you
drinking
guys were
Slurpee,
playing
dude?
to like have fun, not just to booty pound space.
Space, are you still
It's
drinking
soothing to
Slurpee,
me.
He's just really quiet. He said it was not very many.
Wait, what happened? What happened?
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
What type
I'm
of
here,
Slurpee did
I'm
you
here.
have?
I don't know.
Wait, you drank that whole thing? You don't know?
Alright.
How do you not
It was
know?
good though.
Did you like mix
It
a
was
bunch
good,
or?
though.
You're as bad as
That's
my
what you
coworker.
don't
No,
know.
my buddy
Shit.
John got it for me. I don't. What
How
kind
do you
of
not
Slurpee
know
was that?
though? How big was it? What
So-
size?
That's
So
really
when
funny.
you eat an ice cream cone and it's like, say, brown, and you eat it and you're like, here you go, what flavor
was
is
like-
that? And you're like, I don't know, maybe strawberry? Like, oh man, I'm in the dark here. Like, are you fucking kidding me, man? What color was it at least?
Alright. Does anyone have any questions or comments from tonight?
Pineapple
Like
wine.
some of the higher level dudes, do you have anything to add? Lower levels dudes, do you have anything to add? Anyone have any like questions?
I'm just being incredibly
Nope.
sarcastic, I'm sorry.
No? We're good? Devil, you good?
Yes, sir.
Devil?
I'm,
Oh, yeah,
I'm
you got
good. Oh yeah, that's right,
Devil.
double is the mic thing.
Alright, I'm gonna take that as everyone being good. I did not watch the stream at all, so if anyone has any questions, like please, like right now, go into Discord and ask me. Or, I don't know, forever hold your scrubness.
Still confused how to shoot. Instructions unclear.
Did you want to talk at all about control schemes, or is that kind of beyond the scope?
Jumper is life.
Oh, should I
So,
not talk about
default is
reticle
live.
placement? I didn't talk about reticle
Fuck outta
placement.
here.
I'm gonna go do that right now, and then we're gonna end it.
I thought we did talk about reticle placement. You want to aim towards like their chin,
Well, that's
not
like
their head,
reticle
because then if
placement.
they crouch.
Well, the chin or the body, but that's like reticle placement as far as like when you're fighting someone. We're gonna talk about reticle placement when you are not fighting anyone.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see.
Oh, I
It's
left
really
it on Fury.
helpful.
Fuck.
Woo!
Alright, we're gonna have like
It's just the
Fury
Fury
kiss.
type,
We're
right?
gonna do this really, really quickly. Well, I mean, it's probably just gonna spawn us on Coliseum a bunch of times. But alright, everyone like run to the sniper area. A la snake bite. And if we could like not grab the rockets and kill everyone, that would just be super. Thanks.
I get tempted, man. I get real
I already
tempted.
grabbed him.
No, just Meet us at sniper side.
Space
yes, please.
drinker slushy thing.
I already drank. I already finished it. I already
Well,
finished
drink more of it. Oh. No.
Alright, here we go. So, talking about reticle placement, right? So, now this is going to be a very exaggerated example, but you wouldn't want to, if I'm coming up this sniper ramp, right? I wouldn't look at my feet as I'm walking up the sniper ramp. That'd be a terrible idea, right? Why would that be a terrible idea?
Yes,
Like,
sir.
it's obvious, but someone just tell me.
Well, because no one's
You
gonna
can't
be at
see
your
what's
fucking
on
feet.
top of
the
ramp.
Yeah.
Exactly, no one's going to be there under my feet, right? So, there are some times where people are standing and they'll like walk up here and maybe they'll like look at like right here at the bottom of the pyramid. Or they'll go ahead and they'll walk up here and they're like looking up, you know, in the sky or like whatever. You know, you want to look, you want to have your reticle where people are going to be. If I'm coming up this ramp and I don't know anything about this area, I might just want to look across at the other ramp because it's possible that someone else might be coming up. So I'll just come up and I'll pre-aim the ramp. Or if I'm walking up here and I get a call out that there's someone red DMR going top cat, then I'll want to go ahead and I'll want to come up here and I want to pre-aim that. I won't want to walk up out here into the open and then look. You know what I'm saying? And when I'm walking around corners,
sir.
I'm not going to go ahead and walk around corners like watching the corner as I pass by it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look around that corner and I'm going to have my reticle where people are going to be. So get in the practice of keeping your reticle, you know, at like body or head level as you're walking around. And that you're not just looking around all willy-nilly, like doing nothing. You like be prepared to shoot someone when you walk into a new area.
How do
Think
you
about
get
the
on
high
top
traffic
then?
areas and, you know, put your reticle where people are going to be. Does anyone have any questions about that?
Nope.
Or like
No,
that's
that-
unclear for
that sounds
anyone?
pretty
Like
good.
DM me later. I'll like
No, just
look,
Okay.
link you up
I-
to the by
DMs,
video.
boy.
There is a question from the chat from
Ooh.
Mr. Meeseeks.
V6. My boy.
I could read it out, but you can open it up on your side too. The left stick with aiming ideal, or is ideal, but
Yes.
do you strafe to dodge bullets if you're only moving with your opponent?
So that is a really good question, right? So because what I had mentioned was it is possible to use your left stick and try and like almost match your opponent's strafe to do like a bulk of the shooting. So yeah, so when you're doing that, obviously you're using your strafe to shoot rather than to dodge. And in that situation, it's tricky because they're in a way dictating how you're strafing and thus they would be able to predict it. But the thing with that is that they only know that they are dictating how you're strafing. It's only if they know it that it's a problem. If they just think that you're strafing to throw off their shots, then it really doesn't make a difference whether they're dictating it or whether you're dictating it. So if you're going ahead and you're using your left stick to do the bulk of your aiming, then, you know, that's okay as long as they don't realize, I guess, that you're doing that. Or if they're trying to do the same thing, which if they have, like I said, decent aiming fundamentals, that's what I think the bulk of your aiming should be. You know, then it's just a matter of who does it better. And, you know, those minute adjustments with the right stick, as minute as they are very, like, they're still important, right? So, you know, if two people are like strafing back and forth trying to match each other, it's going to be really, really difficult unless you're just moving in like a single like rhythm for two people both to do that well. So at that point, it's going to come down to who makes the better adjustments with the right stick. So, yeah, that's a good point, and that's something that I think is worth thinking about, is that if you're using a left stick to aim and you're trying to like match yourself up with their body a little bit, that is, you know, they are in a way dictating how you're moving. But like, yeah, that's just like a good point, and it's, I guess, a thing to think about. I don't really have like a full answer on it whether or not, because there's like a lot of gray area in between how much you use your left stick and how much you use your right stick. And it's not really that you want to only use your left stick without you moving your right stick at all, but I guess the emphasis of that entire conversation was more so not solely using your right stick as your only source of aiming. Does that make sense? Like, I know like half of what I said was gibberish, but I like was hoping that that last part was like very clear.
I understood.
I understood.
Okay.
Can't speak for everyone else.
Meeseeks, I don't know if that's like a satisfying answer for you. I honestly wish that I had like a better answer for that, but like you're right. You know, that they are in a way dictating your aim. And how bad that is, you know, falls into that gray area of whether they know it, of whether they're trying to also match your strafe, and who's doing a better job of making those small adjustments like we talked about.
What separates the men from the motherfucking boys?
From the goats.
Bro, just believe you're going to win every single gunfight, and you probably will.
Alright, don't do that because then you
Achieve,
challenge
you have only
everyone
to
and then you
believe.
die a lot. So,
That works fine for me.
well, your chat is rather good, so.
Brooks, if I believe hard enough, I guarantee I could beat you in a 1v1 right now. The problem
No.
is I just can't believe hard enough.
Alright, man. Alright. Yeah, I think so too, man. I think so too. True story.
True story.
I think that's it then. I think I'm gonna go ahead and shut down the stream. It's been fun.
It's already.
If anyone has any further questions, feel free to hit me up on Discord. Slide into my DMs.
Ooh, doing that.
I've got a question, Brooks.
Don't
Yes.
tempt me with a good time.
Why didn't you win the 1v1 tournament?
Because you won it.
It's fucking right, boy.
Dude, literally, our last game was like 2 shots away, like from being different.